guys, welcome back to Drinks and Design with Heather and Emilia. And today we're going to be talking about the Juno Dry Hop Sour from House of Funk. Let me just get this open. And we'll have a taste. Cheers.
Yeah, before we dive into this,
Look at that.
it's like golden and hazy.
Yeah, that's a nice
Looks like a
hazy
sunrise.
beer. It smells fruity. Definitely you can smell sort of the fruits in there.
Mm-hmm. I went straight to sipping. And it's like, this is a dry hop sour. So when you sip it right immediately, for me, it's a sour. Like it's got a kick.
Bit of a pucker.
It's a bit of a pucker. But as you sip through it, you can taste the notes of guava, you can taste the blood orange, and then on that finish is when it gets a little bit sweeter, and that's when I taste the vanilla.
Mm-hmm. For me, yeah, like I get the guava and it kind of helps mellow out the orange a bit. I don't get the vanilla so much as its mellowing effect on things. It kind of helps things kind of mellow out and blend together, I find, even if I'm not tasting vanilla itself. And yeah, it does, as you drink it, you get used to the sourness and it's less of a punch in the face. So yeah, you get that sort of initial like pow from the hops and the sour. And then as you keep drinking it, that's sort of, you kind of adjust, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes like sort of a nice, pleasant, refreshing sip.
Yes, agreed. For this one, I said that the mouthfeel was puckery, and I feel like that's very accurate.
It is. Especially like at the beginning, when you get to the finish, it smooths out.
This beer also has a little bit of lactose, which I actually think you can, like, that flavor and those notes kind of come through on this one, which is I also think helps it mellow out from being such a sour and intense taste right off the bat when you first start sipping.
Yeah. So vibe-wise,
Yeah,
I was thinking like backyard party with some like those little fancy nibblies, not like a barbecue with your burgers and your hot dogs, but like bruschetta and I don't know, fiddly little things
like
on sticks.
Crab cakes.
Exactly.
You went all out.
Yeah, no, it's like this upscale backyard barbecue party thing.
All right.
With your slightly more upscale brew.
Okay, I like that. For myself, I said that this vibe, my personal preference when I drink sours is in the springtime. I don't know why, but for me, a sour is kind of like, the spring is sort of that, you lean into summer, you get excited about it, and kind of gives you a little taste. For me, that's kind of what a sour does in terms of beer sipping. So when I sip this is like the end of spring, summer's just around the corner, I'm getting geared up, I'm getting excited, and that's what this is. So I sip sours in spring.
House of Funk is the brewery that makes the Juno, and they're located in North Vancouver, BC. They also are a coffee roastery. And to quote their website, they were created to challenge the status quo, cultivating an environment of experimentation and a devotion to quality.
I have actually visited House of Funk when I was in Vancouver last, which is not any time recently. Nobody panic. But like walking into the brewery, they've got like the seating is all like kind of industrial, a little bit of rustic. They've got crazy artwork on the walls. And then in terms of like speaking into very much their exploratory type brewing style that they have, and challenging that status quo. They, for example, I had a beer that, if I'm not mistaken, had pickle juice in it. So, and it was really tasty. It was my favorite of the whole flight that I had. So they really just want to get experimental and really think outside the box, and that's really cool. And that element is embodied in not only their cans and the beer, but everything that they do, including the brewery itself.
Yeah, I also got the impression that they're a little bit eclectic, especially like in their can design. They seem to have several different like lines of cans that they've done. So they'll have like a particular set of can designs for this one kind of beer or this one thing that they've done. And then there's the ones like this, which there's several different cans that look sort of along the lines of this, and then a few that look a little different. So they're constantly like exploring the brand and different ways of representing it. So it's a little bit eclectic, but they'll be trying different things and put out little different series of things.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like a series, which as marketers, I feel like that is something I would advise my clients not to do, is to not have a bunch of different labels and looks, because you want to be recognizable on the shelf as this is your brewery. But for them, it works because that's their entire,
because that's who they are.
That's who they are. So it works well. So that way, when you see, and you're drawn to it, like if you see a House of Funk label on the shelf, it even though it might not look like this, it still all kind of ties in together with the types of color that they use, like the saturation of it and how they blend those colors together, and it fits. So usually not advised. However, for these guys, well done. It looks really good. It fits.
Moving on to this can in particular. First of all, we saw this on the shelf and we both just went, hey, look at that. So obviously we had to grab it. And the thing that grabbed us was this beautiful artwork.
Yes.
It's bright, it's colorful, and it's the style that really grabbed me. It sort of reminds me either of a stained glass window art or a modern take on Art Deco.
I also get Art Deco vibes, and then kind of like a mosaic piece, which I guess would fit really well with sort of those stained glass window vibes. And then it's incredibly colorful, but it's not in your face color. It's just got these really saturated color tones that are in throughout the can, but it blends really nicely all together.
Yeah, they used a good job of using neutrals to tie it together.
Yes.
So you get those bright pops of color, but they don't overwhelm it because they're balanced really well with the more neutral tones.
Something really interesting, and our videographer helped us pick this element out. So shout out to Nick. But the name of the beer is Juno, and then on the front we can clearly see that this is a queen of sorts. You can see her crown right there. But Juno is actually, hopefully I get this right, Queen of Jupiter.
No, she's the wife of Jupiter.
Wife of Jupiter and queen of ancient Roman gods. I needed help with that one. However,
so here we have Queen Jupiter.
Queen Jupiter, Juno, it all ties in together, and they clearly leaned into that element when they created the artwork for this.
Yeah, which ties in with the other can that we saw in the series, which was that beer was called Valhalla, and it had a picture of, I believe, Odin on it. Yes. So they're really leaning into this mythology kind of vibe with this line of drinks.
I've wanted to mention a few things about the font as well. They have a really cool use of two different font styles, and the one that is the name of the brewery is written in House of Funk. Their little icon that they have here on the back of the label, potentially insert close up here, but it actually looks as though the icon is derived from all of the primary, like the beginning letters of each word that make up House of Funk.
So some other interesting notes about the font. So Amelia mentioned there's two different fonts on this can, but they're very similar. So it's just some slight differences. But the heading font used for Juno and for House of Funk Brewing Co., they look like they're a derivative of a font called Mason Sans, which was originally inspired by Russian letters, Greek architecture, and Renaissance Bibles. And it has some really quirky characteristics, like this really pointy U in Juno, and the N is just like a little flat arch.
Yeah.
The H has a double cross line. So it's got these really unique little details that give it way more personality than a sans serif normally has, and makes it feel, again, that sort of almost Art Deco-y architectural sort of style. And then the rest of the font on the can is similar, but just different enough to make it a little easier to read. And then the use of color for the font is really great too. So Juno is written in a nice rich dark blue, but then the other headings are in more neutral tones, so they still stand out from the body text, and they're still being distinguished by more than just their size. Because they're different colors, but they're not jumping out at you. So the Juno still stands out, so it's just a little bit more of a distinction. with the use of color without being overly bold.
Yeah, they did a really great job in terms of like their font hierarchy and use of color. And then Juno's the first thing you see, and then if you want to dive deeper, it's super easy to do so on the back side of the can.
Yeah, and that the uniqueness of that font just intrigues you, just the same way that the uniqueness of the artwork does.
It all ties in together. To wrap us up, Juno from House of Funk in North Vancouver, BC. It is a dry hop sour, and you will get notes of guava, blood orange, as well as vanilla.
And in terms of their branding, they have this really cool, almost Art Deco, modern style, a little bit stained glass. They're going with a really interesting mythology-inspired theme, and they have really like architectural almost font choices with some really unique elements that give it more personality.
Cheers.
Do you want more great marketing,
Drinking,
and design content? You can follow Hiilite on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
and then follow Drinks and Design on Instagram.
See you next time. I didn't like the wave.
I like your wave.
I didn't like my wave. Okay, well, I will keep my wave. It's weirdly awkward. It's fine. It's us.
Heather, we are awkward.
I know, it's on brand.